Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 14th, 2022 at approximately 5:29 a.m. PST. Well, things are progressing interestingly. I did mention yesterday that, and it still applies today if you haven't done it. Okay, and rest of, honestly, I haven't completed it yet myself. But that said, pick 12 projects that you desire to attain by the end of the year, by the end of 2022. Now, let me just get this straight. Whoops, wrong one. Okay, just so I can keep this straight. And I should have done this before, but this is a live recording, meaning I get done this, I just double check, make sure I got the date right, and post it as is. Okay, now what was the other one? I do not recall. But first and foremost, okay, I'd already picked out there's 5 books I'm planning on getting into print. Okay, now I made a major step with one of those. Okay, I've got the 5 books to get moved into print. I desire to get the office completely cleared out of everything that doesn't have to do with the office and drop my weight down to 200 and down below 200. Well, I made a major step with one of the books. Mr. Dreamcatcher Reborn is now sitting in the printer just waiting for me to give them. They've got the information. They're just waiting for me to give them the actual number. And I've already decided the first printing is only going to have I'm only going to be printing 50 copies to start with. Now this here, where'd it go? Of course. Don't know where the book went. Oh well, can't find it right now, not looking for it. Anyway, Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns will be in print in very short order. This is one of the 12 projects I was aiming at. Okay. Now, the thing is, if we leave society the way it is, you can continue focusing on the differences. You can keep focusing on this issue of immediate gratification or whatever you desire. If we stay on this path, and you don't have to believe me, Lord knows I hope I'm wrong. I am not what you would call, I don't consider myself a doomsayer. Okay. But the path that mankind is on, I've seen before. That path has been consistently, over the centuries, it has led to civilization collapse. Now, there is no question from my standpoint that we have a massive, actually, technically, well, no, literally, we have 2 massive pandemics going on. And I intend to start a third one, and I'm hoping you'll help me start the third one, but we'll get to that in a second. I return to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to pass on a message to everyone in existence that working together, we can make this a better world. Now, if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and please help me spread this word to everybody in existence, not just the ones that have video. Okay, but I'm talking about spread this message verbally amongst those around you. Now, if you desire, like some people have suggested, if you desire to call this a cult, that's your option. Okay, but the 2 pandemics that are already in existence, okay, that we can bring a stop to, one is going to take a whole lot longer than the other. Well, in all fairness, it's a toss-up. The one that everybody is talking about is COVID. Okay, now everybody's talking about COVID being a pandemic. Okay, now I'm not debating it's a real nasty disease. I am not debating mankind had a hand in it. Okay, I'm not going to even debate how it came about. It's here. The past does not really matter at this point. You cannot change the past anyway. So, it is imperative we look at the present and thereby design the future. Now, that's the first pandemic, and I'm not going into any more about it. The second pandemic is, quite frankly, apathy. So many people around, especially humans, okay, so many people have reached this point of, it's not my fault. I'm interested in immediate gratification. Okay, education has become a secondary commodity. The people that are graduating are not able to function in today's society. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Okay, religion is pushing this idea of fear everybody and take responsibility for, frankly, nothing. Okay, yes, that sounds harsh, but this is the way I'm seeing the world. And I do not make excuses for me. I mean, let's face it. The reality of it is, from my standpoint, I've seen a lot, and yes, in a lot of ways I've become jaded. There is no question there. But I look at the claims that religion is making. We're here to protect and take care of the sick. We're here to take care of the poor. We're here to guide people back to the truth. God loves everyone. The whole list goes on. But here's the problem. As far as I understand it, about 80% of wars have been started by religion. Well, if war is a representation of peace, there's a problem. War has never brought peace. To the best of my knowledge, war has brought quiet. But when quiet is achieved by superior firepower, the people that are being suppressed are going to find a way to actually break out of that oppression. Okay, the churches have been closed to so many people. I've seen so many reports of the majority of churches closing the doors in an emergency. Okay, they talk about taking care of the poor. Well, I saw a report one day that in North America there were like literally something like 300,000 churches. And the question that was posed was, with that many churches, why do we still have 200,000 people living on the streets? Okay. And it's a question that does not make sense. Well, the question makes total sense. It's a statistic, if you want to believe in statistics, that do not make sense. Okay. The politicians are claiming to be trying to help everybody. Okay, but if you take a look at the state of the world, politicians are not doing what they're claiming. Now, this is not to say government is bad. Government is absolutely critical. And if you really want to get a pretty good rendition of what happens when governments collapse and another one is installed in place, what ends up happening, because people are still thinking the same way as their predecessors, is it just resets itself the same way. Okay, now there was an old book, and I think I may be mistaken on the author. The title of the book was Animal Farm. Okay, I think it was George Orwell that wrote it, but I may be mistaken on the author. I'm not mistaken on the name of the book. Look it up and read it. It'll give you an idea of why governments in society are absolutely critical. Yes, they're going down a real twisted road right now, but that is based on individual, not governmental. It is based on individual greed. Now, I mentioned, and of course it's impacted by fear, which, by the way, the churches are doing a fantastic job of propagating fear. The pandemic I was talking about is apathy. So many people are willing to sit back and go, it's not my fault. Okay. Things get really tied in knot when everybody goes, it's not my fault. Let's try and sort this out. Let's talk about it. And frankly, talking is leading in circles in time and time again. So, starting right here, right now, considering right here, right now, is the only time in existence anybody can do anything. You all have, we all have, free choice, free will. If you desire to change this world, it starts by changing the way you're looking at your own. Okay, it starts by changing this, by changing yourself. Now, I've got 5 books listed that I desire to get into print. I found 2 of the 2 books I was looking for, the soft copy for Mr. Dreamcatcher and Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns, I have located. Okay, Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns is already in the printer. I'll be contacting them today and placing the order, which means in a week or so I'll have the actual book in print. This is what I mean by right here, right now. I put the list together and I'm already starting to chalk them off before the end of the first month. It's time to get started. Posting the information or posting an idea of what you desire to do is absolutely, I mean, it's great. It helps motivate. This is one of the reasons why I did it, why I do it here. Now, this little figure that I was talking about, okay, a couple of days ago, I had asked about a color scheme, okay, and so I figured I asked about the color scheme, I got a response to it, and here it is, getting racked off. The next thing to deal with is what you see here that's all white, now gets colored gray. Okay, and that'll get done today, and apparently there's still a little bit of brown to do. It's not complete. Okay, I will finish that on this one. The majority of it will be finished off today. Because all I've got left is just to take this, just to do all of this side here, everything you see that's white, and get that painted gray. So, again, it's a question of picking a goal and getting it done. Procrastination, I used to be fantastic at. When I procrastinated, now the saying for procrastination is never do today what you do and what you can put off till tomorrow. I was way better at it. I simply had it down to a fine art. I went, never do what you can put off. Why bother finishing with the rest of it? Okay, and I was very good at putting things on hold. At this point, it has come to my conclusion that I can keep looking at this and going, well, if we talk nicely, people will get it, but people are missing the point. If you sit back and you let this happen, okay, I keep an eye on some of what gets printed, but do understand, I trust virtually none of it. The reality is, I trust my own instincts quite well, and I do trust what I have come to experience, not necessarily what I've come to see. Now, I was raised to believe, I was raised in the church to believe in God, to believe in Jesus, the whole 9 yards. Well, here's the thing. Even when I was being taught, I used to question the whole thing because I looked at it and went, I didn't really argue the point of God. I questioned the point of whether he was the top of the totem pole. Now, this is my belief. This is my way of looking at the world. I questioned it until about a year and a half ago when I came face to face with what you would call God. Okay, now you can call that going right off the deep end. I've been to 3 professional psychiatrists that have all said the same thing. I'm not nuts. And for me, that keeps me out of the nut house, so I'm quite happy with it. Okay. Do I have complications? Absolutely. One of the biggest complications I have is watching people repeatedly hurt themselves because, quite frankly, being empathic, I physically pick up what people, and in my case, what the planet is going through. Okay. Now, does this all necessarily make sense? Probably not. But what should make sense, at least what I'm hoping makes sense, is if you take the way your world is, your personal little world, okay, if you take a look at that and you figure out what you're not content with, when you eliminate everything you're not personally content with, all you'll be left with is a life that you're happy with. I was talking to a client the other day, and they asked about this decision. Well, I've got a move coming up. I've got to change the way my life is going. Do I leave the city or do I stay? Well, I can't answer that for anybody. But when we got talking about it, there were a couple of things that were said, and we looked at the individual and went, you've already made your decision. Okay, what they had done is they listed off a number of things, and they hadn't really noticed what they'd said, but they listed off what I was taught when I was growing up was to lay out the pros and cons. This person laid out a whole bunch of things that were going on, a whole bunch of thinking processes, but apparently they had not put it all together. So I laid out what they had said and went, look, you already made the decision. The move is not a functional option. Therefore, you have to look at the center point where you are. You've got to look at eliminating the things you're not content with, but take ownership of what you are responsible for. Now, I could continue blaming the world for the mess I was in. I wrote a channeled autobiography, and one day I will find it again and likely get it into print in small amount. Okay. I call it a channeled autobiography because when I wrote it, literally what happened was I sat down, I was bored, I sat down in front of the computer, and the next thing I knew, I lost everything, and the next thing I knew, I looked at the page in front of me, page 16, and so ends my childhood. So I looked at that and I folded up my books and went home. Came back the next day fully intending on reading what I had written. Okay. Well, that didn't work that well. I sat down in front of the computer, and this happened 4 days in a row. And every day, there was something extra sent. There was something extra added to it. Childhood, teenage years, adult years, right? The end of the fourth day, it says, and life goes on. Well, that was great. I think that was the last thing that was written. In any event, on the fifth day I came in, it was a Friday, I came in, and I went to read the thing again. I tried again to read what I had written. Only the book was gone. It wasn't until 4 years later when I bought a computer off of a now coworker. At the time I bought the computer, at the time I'd written the story, okay, I was not connected to the internet, and neither was the individual I bought the computer from. Okay, and they were in a different city altogether. So when we became coworkers years later, we connected, right, 4 years after this file had gone missing. I bought this computer off a new coworker. And when I bought the computer, like always, I went through the computer, through the files, and I spotted one massive publisher file, which is the program I had written the autobiography in. When I got it open, because I asked the individual that owned the computer, I says, "What is this file?" And they went, "I don't know, I've never seen it." When I opened it up, it turned out to be my book. Okay. Now, it had never been, like I said, I had never been connected to the internet, and neither had this computer. But there was the story. So, it is chock full of spelling mistakes. And it's the one article that I've written, the one piece of prose that I've written that I will not correct the spelling mistakes on. And that is primarily why. Now, I will be getting it printed again. Once, like, it's down the road. I'm not planning on getting it printed this year. Okay, but I am going to find it again. As I'm going through stuff, it'll show up. But this is the issue. I cannot change the past. I always thought that the kids had shunned me while I was growing up. When I got this channel autobiography done, it showed quite the other side of it. Apparently, even as a young child, I was trying to stay away from people. So this idea of being reclusive for the last 10 years really is not that big of a surprise. Okay, it does have some side effects that I'm not happy with, but there's not much I can do with it. As the saying goes, I've gotten on a little. They say an old dog can't be taught new tricks. They're wrong. Okay, but have I got any interest in getting out and tied into the major material world again? Honestly, no. I've been discarding a lot of stuff I no longer require. But I cannot change the past. I cannot change the way I grew up. I am what I am now, same as you are what you are. Everything you've gone through makes you what you are today. And it's up to you to decide whether that is good enough for you. You can continue complaining to anybody you choose that your life is miserable. You can continue pointing the finger at the government, the churches, the elites, your next door neighbor. It doesn't matter. Okay, blame anybody you choose. You can continue doing that. That is one of those neat things about free will. You can do that, or you can do as I've decided to do and look in the mirror and go, this is what I'm responsible for. I'm the one that did this to me because I do have that free choice. Yes, many times we get caught in scenarios that we do not know how to handle. When I got divorced, I asked my father how to cope with it. He literally looked at me and he goes, I just don't know. I've never been divorced. Okay, so he could not tell me how to deal with it. The one man that I've been able to get virtually every answer out of. Okay, he just came right out and went, honestly, I don't know. Here are some people that you might want to talk to that may be able to help you cope. And that's all I'm doing. The tools that I offer are the ones that work for me. Okay, and have worked for literally thousands of other people. Now, you've only got my word to take for it because you probably don't know me from Adam. Okay, but I am telling you, as a matter of fact, just a quick little update. This little book here. Okay, I got another 5 pictures done and found out an interesting glitch with one of them. But I've got another 5 of the races, the pictures on another 5 dealt with. Okay, and it dawned on me why I wasn't seeing one, because I had one done today that just came in. And it's done beautifully, but there's a problem with it. And I'm going to have to rework it and see what I can do with it. Well, not me personally, but the artist. Okay, because we're going to have to start from scratch on one of these pictures. However, the picture that the artist did do, quite frankly, works out really well. It's actually a fabulous rendition of a hybrid. Which, sad to say, didn't register to start with. I knew there was something wrong, but it wasn't clicking. Now I will get back in touch with the artist that's doing the work, and we will build another one and see what we can work out. Okay, but the one that I've got is not the one of the original race. So I will deal with the artist myself. And again, this boils down to a simple issue. When I'm looking at things, when I say get a goal together, get it on paper so you can start checking it off. Okay, this list here. Yeah, that's why I've got this list. And yeah, it's only a scrap of paper. But that being said, I'm chalking off the bits and pieces as we go along. Okay, I'm right on top of finances, and finances, like I mentioned before, are the backbone of your household. They are what keep your roof over your head, keep food on your table. Absolutely critical that you look at always moving forward. Now, my finances are not as good as I would like, and I had to set them back a fair piece, but I know why I did. At this point, it will be a question of just inching my way forward, making sure I am making a constant growth curve. This is absolutely imperative in order to make things happen. Okay, one of the things I'm dealing with, and this is something that is an idea to pay attention to if you've got credit card debt. Okay, now I've got a little bit of money sitting in the bank right now. I've got to work out exactly what the utilities are that require being paid, which, let's see, 200, about $350 has to go to the utilities. I've got another $450 that has to go to another bill, but it's all going to go through the credit card. So that money will go onto the credit card and go immediately into into paying those bills. So there will be a little bit more than what I have to spend going onto the credit card because I'm still trying to wipe out the credit card debt. But the trick with credit cards is this. The best move that I found, take a look at your credit card balance. Your first target is get it cleared. Once it is cleared, never, ever, ever spend more than 10% on that credit card than what the credit card limit is. If you do that, you can get your spending under control. You can get your credit climbing back up. My credit rating right now is on the upswing. Okay. Now, a credit rating, in all fairness, it's a great gauge to tell you how well you're doing. But the fact is, it's totally pointless if you're not planning on going into debt again. Which is why, when I say I am not likely to buy a house, I'm not kidding. Okay. The only way that's likely to happen is if I can turn around and get a house built, or buy an apartment, or buy an apartment building, buy a townhouse setup where I can live in it, and the rent from other people can pay my man, where the money coming in off the property pays my rent. Okay, if it doesn't do that, where I'm sitting right now is working beautifully. Okay, but you have to look at what you feel is good for you. The fact that I'm renting, well, quite frankly, I don't see the point in changing. I figure I'm living on a main floor, 3-bedroom apartment, no yard work, and no stairs. For me, this is a good setup. There are many people that love yard work. For them, living in an apartment isn't a great idea. But we have to look at this and just remember, working together, we can make this a better world. But it's going to take all of us. So I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.